This commentary is essentially a tale of two organizations. The one, UNAIDS, is the organization that coordinates the response of the UN to the pandemic, and the other, UNICEF, well, it's UNICEF. Now, AIDS-Free World has a profound and genuine difference of opinion with UNAIDS about the way in which the pandemic should be responded to. If you look at the material flowing from UNAIDS over the last several days in advance of World AIDS Day, the reports, the speeches, the press releases, they all paint this euphoric glow of the pandemic. They all begin with the sense that we're going to have an AIDS-free generation, that we're just on the threshold of the end of the pandemic. There is a determination to create this sort of mythological view that AIDS is nearly over. And then UNAIDS gets worried about the complacency of governments, particularly in funding. Well, excuse me, of course they'll be complacent. How could it be otherwise if you're forever inundating them with material that says we're on the brink of an AIDS-free generation? They are not going to be interested in funding. And of course it's absolutely nonsensical. The virus is still a contagion. We've got 35 million people living with the virus, and half of them don't know it. And according to the World Health Organization most recent guidelines, only a third of those who are eligible for treatment are actually receiving treatment, and for children it's even lower. No, we have a terrible problem on our hands, and if you want to get a much better sense of it, then go to the AIDS-Free World website on World AIDS Day, December the 1st, and we will recite for you the real problems, which, by the way, the statistics and figures and documentation are largely taken from the entrails of UNAIDS. Except for UNAIDS, the entrails are never front and center. Now compare that with the UNICEF report, which just came out, a stock-taking report. They describe it as, with children and adolescents, obviously, as the centerpiece. They too go through the obligatory language which shows progress, but it's much more analytic, it's much more substantial, it's much more sophisticated in recognizing the challenges and the difficulties and, for example, the way in which adolescents have fallen off the agenda. Now, it's not perfect by any means. It's not good on some of the figures. It deals with infant feeding inadequately, and it deals with orphans hardly at all except in statistical tables, and there are 17 million orphans. So I say those things in order to allow me a future evisceration of UNICEF, but by and large, it's a pretty good report, night and day compared to UNAIDS. And on top of that, the man who's head of HIV and AIDS at UNICEF, Craig McClure, Canadian, of course, that's what gives him his legitimacy. Craig McClure has an op-ed in the Huffington Post in the last day or two, which argues that putting the health of mothers first is a moral imperative. It's what leads to the end of AIDS. I've never heard that before. We at AIDS-Free World have never heard that before from UNICEF or a UN agency. It's sort of a breakthrough. It shows you can pummel agencies into submission. I don't know what it is about UNAIDS. Maybe it's just Geneva and Switzerland. Maybe it's the rarefied air of the Alps which coagulates common sense and composts the cerebrum. That was last week. I'm Stephen Lewis.